How's it going, everyone? It's your boy Dak908, aka the Dig Dug himself. Yours truly back again with some more Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be tackling the Deviljho. Now, the Deviljho was a monster who debuted in the 3rd generation of Monster Hunter and Monster Hunter Tri, to be exact. He was a monster who you were actually able to fight for the first time once you had enter high rank. Granted, you were able to actually fight him proper if you get the actual quest later on. However, there was a monster in that game named Kurapeko. He would actually summon Deviljho at the lower rank, with the lower end, not the lower ranks, but the lower end of high rank. And for those of us who were probably just starting, we were probably still wearing low rank armor, and Deviljho, being an end game monster, would show up and clap cheeks. Now, essentially, he's the same monster. He still comes through multiple times over in the G rank lobbies and the G rank areas, G rank realms and high rank realms, and etc, etc. But in G rank, however, he's a little bit different. He has particular attacks and certain patterns that you, if you've played 4 Ultimate, would readily identify with, because essentially once he actually gets into G rank, he is unveiled with like 2 new attacks. That's essentially it. But we get ahead of ourselves. Let's take it back a notch. Deviljho's main weaknesses are that of Dragon and Thunder. Actually, when you think about it, it's actually Dragon and Thunder equally. So if you're going to do any real damage, bring you a Dragon or Thunder weapon and hit it in the head. Also, his hind legs are pretty solid for damage. However, the rest of his body, like his stomach, is kinda armored. So once you actually get to G rank, he's going to be a bit more difficult to actually hit unless you have something akin to like white sharpness. Once you get below blue, it's essentially a no-go, bro. So you're going to want to bring a relatively sharp weapon, hit him in the head or on his hind legs. The legs you're obviously able to hit for the most part. And bring Dragon or Thunder. Again, the hit zones for both of these weapons, both these elements are exactly the same. So either one that you actually really want to bring in and fight with. A common weapon style to actually use to fight Deviljho is Adept. Simply being, Deviljho, he is very powerful. He is a very tough monster to fight head on. However, if you have Adept, he is actually relatively a joke. A Valor is actually a good one to actually use as well because it's essentially broken. But he has a lot of attacks that are highly telegraphed. Lots of wind up and things that you just see coming from miles away. So if you actually have Adept, you can actually dodge all these attacks readily, or even have Valor, you can go straight through them if need be. But that being said though, a lot of his attacks do serious damage. He also has the ability to actually give you defense down. Whenever he's tired and he's exhausted a bit, he'll be salivating from the mouth. Any bite attacks that attack your body with this effect, so to speak, will drop your defense by like 200-300 points. So be careful when you actually are fighting a worn out Deviljho, because with that defense down buff, or debuff, you can potentially get set up for a one-shot attack, being just a general pounce attack or a tail swipe, a hip check, etc. With that being said, let's actually move over to his armors. Now first, let me say this: Deviljho, he comes in Savage and he comes in normal mode. This is Deviljho, not Savage Deviljho. Savage Deviljho might be another video. If you want a Savage Deviljho video, 50 likes. I know I'm being a little bit of a whore, but I was gonna make the video. It doesn't matter, we'll make Deviljho anyway, regardless. Here we go, Deviljho armors. Now, Deviljho's armor is Vengus. Now, you're gonna have Vengus high rank and Vengus G rank. Vengus and Vengus X. Vengus gives you Weakness Exploit, Part Breaker, and Hunger Down, that being his negative skill. Now, that's high rank, pretty solid, 2 really good skills. But moving to the G rank variant, we get Vengus X. That gives us Weakness Exploit, Part Breaker, par for the course, not too bad, but Power Eater. Now, Power Eater is his own special skill. It's actually a combo skill which gives you Speed Eating 2, Meat Lover, and Mushroom-mancer. So if you guys are out there supporting your peoples out there with the Mushroom-mancer sets, run Vengus Deviljho and you might be on to something very nice. Like, I mean, it's actually very, very solid. In my honest opinion, if you were essentially looking for a support set without worrying too much about like potential parts to actually wear, I'd run this. I mean, there's not too many slots in the armor set itself. All day you're looking at 5, but that's not too terrible. But essentially, if you want to be that kind of guy and play that role, you can. Now, moving away from the armors, we're gonna take a look at Deviljho's weapons. Now, honestly, his weapons are very average. Usually Deviljho's weapons are actually super high attack, maybe not the highest raw, but they're essentially there for the slapper. But in this case, they're average. Like, honestly, you're looking at most weapons making about 320, 330 attack. He has a couple that actually have 340, but none really too super, if you catch my drift. Now, a lot of his weapons, though, they do have positive affinity, which is kind of new for Deviljho. Usually, Deviljho's weapons have a huge boon to like negative affinity, but in this case, we're looking at a relatively decent amount of weapons actually having positive affinity. So, I mean, it's not too terribly bad. It's a fairly decent dragon weapon. By now, you might have a dragon weapon that might honestly be better. But again, he does have, I think, 2 weapons who have 340 raw. That would be his switch axe and his gun lance. Me personally, I have this gun lance. Okay, it's a very solid gun lance. I like using it. It only has long 3 and it has 340 on the attack. A little bit of ski taste of white sharpness. Nothing too drastic, but his weapons are very average, kind of solid. However, Savage Deviljho's weapons, we'll talk about that later. His are a little bit different. But with all that being said, essentially what you really need to know when fighting G-Rank Deviljho is that his only real threat is his newer attack. His newer attack, I christened the Godzilla. He tends to stalk around as if he was Godzilla, and then eventually after he's done stalking, he'll throw out 1 dragon breath. Now, the thing is, when you see him stalk like this, I recommend, that's the word, I recommend you move out of the way. He will stalk in a forward motion. Sometimes he'll stalk going forward, then eventually go to the side or something like that, but just be away from his front. The Dragon Breath hitbox on that is actually incredibly weird. It's super ambiguous. It'll mix you up, it'll cross you up. It's not a good day. Move away from that and you'll be in relatively decent hands. Essentially, outside of that, Deviljho is the same thing. You fought Deviljho before, hopefully anyway, and he's a big, slow, lumbering brute. He hits very, very, very hard. He has an ability to actually lower your defense whenever he's tired. He can pounce on you and then, what do we call it again? Maul you? Eat you? Is it a mount? When he jumps on you and just like eats your face? You guys know what I'm getting at here. It don't have to be no more, so I kind of forget what it's actually called. I've been playing too much World, I'm sorry. But he can do that. His is actually one of the strongest in the game. When he actually does that on you, you must throw the dung bomb because he'll probably kill you just by eating your face. But essentially, Deviljho, use some Adept or Valor and then pick your actual attacks because he's not very fast. But with that being said, it's been your boy Deck908, aka the Dig Dug himself. Not a lot to say about Deviljho. I expected to actually have more to say, but he's not that difficult anymore. He was in the beginning when we first didn't know what to do, but as time progressed, and I'm sure you guys have been in this situation as well, he's not super difficult. Regardless, if you want a more in-depth way to fight Deviljho, if you feel this isn't in-depth enough for you, right here on the screen will be where you can find the Monster Hunter Generations version of it, which is essentially just high rank. Essentially, I break them down a lot more better in there if you feel this is inadequate. But with that being said, it's been your boy. Take care.